The Real Estate Show continues here on KMED this weekend. Pete Belcastro and Joe Brett, the real estate guys, with you. And thanks for being with us. Hope you're going to have a good weekend ahead, whether Saturday or Sunday. Of course, this show repeats at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning here on KMED. All of our shows are available at Real Estate Show Oregon, as well as youtube.com/Real Estate Show Oregon. So that's what we do with all this stuff. We just kind of put it out there, and
you don't have to catch it live. And thanks for catching us on our new time here on Saturday afternoon.
Saturday afternoon here in KMED. One thing about it, this is our 5th anniversary coming up on the show.
Yes,
we started in 2009, and here we are in 2014. So we'll start our 5th year of shows next month. That's a lot of talking. Let me tell you, haven't we learned a lot? My goodness, think of the things that our listeners, that we've all learned together in the last few years, the last 5 years, about this real estate market, and how much. I was thinking today driving here, think of how much it's changed from 5 years ago when we started. The market is definitely, and the story has been told how much the market has changed, and I think our listeners know that.
And I think the only thing better is if we were to start it in 2007, right when we got our licenses, because that's right after that 06.
Yeah, Joe and I, we were good, yeah.
And so by 09, when we picked it up, the real estate market was, and nationally and locally, was at a real crossroads, and there's some really scary times there.
Well, yeah.
To see it all work back through, amazing.
I was in a meeting, and there was a discussion with one of the title people from Ticor, and they were saying how few and far between they now see foreclosed properties coming through the Ticor system of escrow and being closed. That certainly wasn't the case in 2009. I'll tell you that. Let's bring our guest in here today. He's joins us many times, and he runs the show at REMAX, and that's Larry Frank, who's a principal broker at REMAX Ideal Brokers. And like all of us, we're all from somewhere else to where we've gotten here. But you've been there for now
10 years.
10 years.
10 years, yeah.
Wow.
Have an anniversary coming up here.
It's 10 years.
Larry is also the South Medford baseball color analyst for Table Rock Sports. We got to work 3-4 games this spring.
I am quite proud of that.
I thoroughly enjoyed that, too. I'm glad you started bugging me last fall about that when he heard. When we first heard we were going to do some baseball. So
bugging is a nice way to phrase it, isn't it?
Yeah. We're going to do some more of that.
So all right. Well, tell us here, Larry. We're here mid-June. You look at the statistics, you look thing around, you're saying everything seems to be humming along. I don't know. I hope that's good.
The board
what
looks
do you
good
think? What are you seeing every day at REMAX there?
Let's take a look at days on market. Properties days on market from March 1st through May 31st of this year, and let's see what the numbers tell us, okay? So in Ashland, the average days on the market in March from 2013 over that time period was 92 days. In 2014, it's 57 days, a reduction of 35 days. In West Medford, there's a reduction of 19 days. Southwest Medford, 19 days. White City, 10 days. Eagle Point, 39 days. Wow. How's this one? Gold Hill, Rogue River, a reduction of 146 days. So what we're seeing is A, we have a low inventory count. B, properties, if they're priced well, if they're accessible for a buyer to go in and look at it, and if they're appropriately staged so they get interest, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're seeing. Our board for June is looking really strong in our sales. And right now I'm trying to tell my agents now's the time to get those listings, because that's what's going to help you during the course of this summer. You're going to get a call and somebody's going to have a transaction for you, and that's a great way to start the day.
And Larry, we're right on top of the market. We watch it every day and feel its pulse. A lot of our listeners and a lot of our real estate consumers don't watch it so closely. So I feel like in a time like this, it's never a mistake to reiterate to potential sellers what the advantages of the market are for them now, how much it's turned maybe from the last time they considered it, how values have increased. It is a really good time. If you have a move up or a downsize in mind, boy, it's a great time to talk to somebody you know and trust about real estate.
The market has seen significant changes. We all remember when we were looking, and 68% of the sales were what?
Foreclosed property. Yes.
Distressed properties. Those days are over.
Look at it today. Look at it today here. Just look how far that's come, which means, of course, the market has turned so much. But today, 85%. There's still some out there, still some short sales and a few foreclosures out there, but not not very many, is there?
And short sales.
54 were sold in 3 months. That's still a few. 13 in East Medford. I mean, they're still out there, but not as many, certainly. And the Home Path, we've talked about Home Path and HUD Home Store, all those that our viewers, our listeners know about. And we still see Home Path, the Home Path financing, the homepath.com. Those are where the majority, it seems, of the foreclosures are coming on. And those are all properties that were bought back by the federal government owns, because, they insured all these loans,
right.
all these loans.
And
so they own them all.
And there's short sale success stories out there. In fact, they're doing a little more, I think, than we are foreclosures in the distressed properties. So we're, as an industry, dealing with those better, and it's still a viable solution for some folks.
Thank goodness the federal government and the different financing institutions got it together, because I think we all remember when a short sale would go into escrow, and we were looking at 9 months, 10 months, a year to get the thing closed. Those days are over. The lending institutions have got it together. We are actually closing short sales in 60 days.
In 60 days.
90 days. 60 days, 90 days.
And that's just trying to get them through, because really, I think when you apply for them and you finally go through that process, I mean, you owe more than the house is worth, and, it's not going to change.
And there are...
And it's still more an advantage, isn't it, still to go through the short sale process than go through the foreclosure, correct?
For the property owner and for the lender as well. Sometimes there's a threshold there where foreclosure would cost them more.
That's the key.
Right.
That's the key. The banks absolutely took a beating on houses, because you know what? A vacant house that's been sitting vacant for 8 months, 9 months, a year is just a calling card for vandalism and destruction. And, look, that's why the cities have come up with these new ordinance that says that if a property goes into default and it becomes vacant, they have to register with the city, because the city doesn't want those properties getting vandalized and becoming criminal dens.
We've had... Kara Carter was here last week from the Jackson County Authority, and we talked with her, quite a bit about the HUD vouchers and the kinds of programs that that they're trying to do for some of this. And I'm just wondering, as we move along, if you think this is going to continue. I mean, I'm always curious whether or not our market in the short sales and foreclosures are going to continue to go down. The problem is they're coming up in different ways. Here's my point. They're coming up in different ways, Joe. I had a client who had his house paid for, and wife got sick, had insurance. Insurance ran out. Put his house up, refinanced the house, gave him all this money, and, the wife died anyway, and then you're left stuck with the house now that you've got more than it's worth. We had to short sell it because we couldn't sell it for what it was worth of what he had gotten for the help. And I thought that this is what we're seeing. This is what the title people, again, are coming back, as we're seeing in our shows. This is what they're seeing more of, more student debt, on these things, and for terms of mortgages and things like that. And I don't know if that's very healthy for us or not.
Well, I think that we are going to continue to see a reduction in the distressed properties. I think that we have finally reached that pinnacle. We're now on the downhill side. Now, that is obviously assuming that we do not have a national or international disaster that comes up that puts financial pressure throughout the world, okay? But I think that the very difficult times that we had been faced with in 2007, 2008, 2009, in that arena, I think those days have come and gone. And as long as the Fed does not put the interest rates up to 10, 11% to make the properties in value, have no value to buyers and sellers, I think that we're going to be okay. what we need are jobs.
No,
we need are jobs.
And we need housing. I mean,
And
to house people.
That was my question I was going to ask is we're going to grow significantly here in the Rogue Valley. And where in the heck are all these people going to live that move here? And they're going to move here. They're going to come here hopefully someday to work and to find new jobs here. And hopefully a lot of our kids are going to come back from school and want to have their families and raise their families here. And where are those folks going to live?
Well, I think people need to remember the number one.
There's no place to rent right now.
It's not very many places to rent.
Inventory's kind of tight on the buying side.
And still, the number one income source into Jackson County is still transfer payments. That's Social Security payments. It is welfare payments. It is pension payments, from retirees. That's the number one industry we have here. So that doesn't create, well, it does create jobs, but it doesn't create specific jobs from it. That's what I'm saying.
You brought up a great point. I was talking to a property manager, and I was asking about vacancy factors in rental properties. And she told me that the vacancy factor right now in the metropolitan Medford market is at 1%. And that's with a fault factor of 3%. So
that's the worst we've heard. 1.8, 1.6, now 1% in Metro Medford. I believe it.
And that varies around. I think you're right, though, because in what we always said, we went through 5 years of no building activity, and now we're seeing the result of it. And the market tells us that. I mean, people can say whether they want about market conditions, free markets, this or that, but the market dictates pretty much how this is all going to come out.
But the things are coming around. They're coming full circle. Imagine if you were one of those people who found themselves. My heart goes out to the gentleman you talked about, because I'll tell you what, for my wife got sick. Everything I own would be on the market, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but if you invest and you put all of your net worth, you put all your marbles into one basket, you become more volatile. All right.
We're vulnerable.
You gotta be vulnerable. That's right. And you got to diversify your economics. You got to you've got to get some serious counseling.
Well, it's a shame again. So you lose your house because of illness. See, this is the problem that we have in the country, and so many people, especially older people, as we get older in age, are going to find themselves. We got millions of baby boomers who, as you know, we're all in there. And that's what we're going to face, and it's going to be quite a challenge for this in the future. Where are you going to house all these people? This kind of thing.
And in regards to where are these houses going to come from? Knock on wood. I think that we all know that the contractors are back out there. We're seeing hammers hammering. We're seeing sticks going up again. And
but it's not at a
ridiculous rate, though.
Because you two are quite the proponents of new construction, aren't you? More so than me.
We need it. We
do need
it in this valley.
We're maybe a little more optimistic.
But here's the question: what is being built? Are we building here? I mean, we're having all this new construction. We should have Brad Benning to answer this question, the home builders. But are we building big kind of McMansions again around that are going to be $400,000, $300,000 properties, or going to be building things that are people buying, and we're seeing in the market they're buying $100,000 to $200,000, $250,000 properties?
Yeah, that's a great question, and we're seeing all of the above.
You think so?
Yes,
you're saying yes, you are.
Yes, you
are.
Seeing
that.
White City and East Medford, the two hottest building zones. Yeah,
Southwest Medford,
Southwest
Lalo Construction's got a development going out there for affordable $200,000.
Coda Homes has some too, yeah.
Coda Homes. We've got Roger Davis Construction, who's putting houses out in White City out in the $200,000 range. So we're seeing stuff at the beginning range. Bob Fellows, one of great builder. Have the highest respects for Bob. Bob's invested a lot of his heart and soul and treasure in the White City market, and he has continued to build even through these hard times.
I sold one of his out there, and it was a beautiful home. And it was $176 January a year ago. It was a great bargain for those folks.
And you two are just quite right there with this, aren't you? Yeah, that's really good.
It's what I do.
What's going to be cool is that we're going to meet some of these builders in the coming weeks, I think in months ahead, because the Home Builders Association of Jackson County is one of our new partners, and and one of the things was I want to meet some of these guys and talk to them, right like I talked to you guys about what they're building, how they're building this, because I got all sorts of questions that people ask me about this, right?
Funny story. When I did Bob Fellows' deal, he was represented by J.J. Kramer. Our folks love the place and love the deal. But I'd had such a good time talking to J.J. and Bob, just commiserating as we would meet and look at the house and talk about cabinets and all of that. So when I had the offer, I wanted to present in person. And I walked in, and they were both kind of tight-lipped. And so I was like, Bob goes, well, usually when they come to present in person, it's not good news. I said, no, we got a full-price offer here. I just wanted to commiserate a little more because it was so interesting to talk to him about how he weathered that storm.
Oh yeah,
and the just the management of his resources, just the savvy it took. And when he came back, boy, he's been building up a storm. That was the second of a little spur off of Atlantic at the top of Atlantic that he's probably got 8 homes on
I'm
now.
curious about quality of construction, the materials used that these guys use.
You nailed it.
All sorts of really interesting questions. We're going to have fun with them in the future there. Well, the Real Estate Show here continues on KMED. We're with Larry Frank, the principal broker of REMAX Ideal Brokers, giving you a market watch update on what's happening in real estate throughout Jackson and Josephine County. So thank you for being with us. We're going to continue here on the Real Estate Show right after this. This show repeats at 9 o'clock on Sunday, and all of our shows at realestateshoworegon.com or on youtube.com/Real Estate Show. The Real Estate Show continues on KMED this weekend. Pete Belcastro and Joe Brett, the real estate guys, with you. And thanks for being with us. You know, Joe and I are also available for any advice, free advice, guidance, and counsel. Any real estate issues you have, you can get a hold of us. Pretty easy to do via email. It's Pete or Joe, either one of those, at realestateshoworegon.com. We'll be happy to help you, and we love talking with you and sorting things out. Some people find themselves in some really peculiar situations, I will say that, and as you go. And the thing is, there's always a solution. That's the thing that is as bleak as it may look. There is always a solution out there. You just got to stay positive and figure it out and get somebody who can help you.
One of my favorite things are inquiries from folks who have a specific need or problem, and there are a lot of times where I can't specifically help them with it, or it's not going to lead to a sale, but I can get them to someone I know who's going to really steer them in the right direction or take them where they need to go. Yeah. And it's just a way of connecting people with the other people who can help them and meet their needs.
I really enjoy working with a lot of older people. You know, we all make those decisions of right sizing our place, and who live in rural properties or something.
And
you know, it's too big, can't take care of any place. Oh my God!
And you're working with the Johnstons and the age-friendly folks, age-friendly innovation here in Rogue Valley. So there's some neat things on the horizon as well. There's some new housing.
Yeah. But before we kick off the new housing kick, we're with Larry Frank, the principal broker, REMAX Ideal Brokers, here on the Real Estate Show this weekend. Okay, we were talking about new housing. And you guys, I know, 75 new homes went up in the 3-month period in Jackson County. 9 in Josephine County. That's a big difference. I mean, I realize that. And you're right. East Medford was the big majority, 23 of them. Northwest Medford? Northwest Medford. What's Northwest Medford?
Ward.
What area are they talking about? Where are these new construction going to Northwest Medford?
Mace.
Is that up by Costco in
Howard
that area?
School area.
In that area there?
The Howard School area.
The Howard School area.
Table Rock Road.
Right.
Howard School.
And that's a great place. I mean, those nice neighborhoods they're building out there, aren't they? Yeah. All right, so we'll see what happens with that. Rural properties, you know, here that's what we're talking about what the market is doing on that. You know, it's one of my favorite topics, the rural properties, and they continue to sell well. And do you think, all right, I was telling Larry this. I still think that the GMO-free vote that we had here in these 2 counties, that is going to have a bigger financial impact than I think any of us thought maybe, and it's going to have an effect on prices on land, rural properties in these 2 counties. Do you think that's true, Larry?
I do. I think that the true economic impact was not projected correctly during the voting process, and I think that as with a lot of new laws, there are going to be more consequences that we did not project.
Yeah, I think it's going to be big. I think it's going to continue to have effect on prices. Now, the reason I say this, look at the rural properties, and this is one of the statistics: 5 acres or under, 59 sales, okay, in 3 months. 5 to 10 acres, 31 sales, and over 10 acres, 24 sales. And the thing is, the median price for rural properties are higher than they are in the city. Of course, we've got land with it in many cases, so that must make a difference. But they continue to sell well throughout both counties.
Well, Pete, have you had a chance to drive out in the Applegate lately?
No,
and look
at
the growth and going. If you have a free moment, go out, take a look at North Applegate Road. and look at the money that is being invested into vineyards and what used to be dairies and hay farms. Someone is spending an incredible amount of money putting in these vineyards and the irrigation and we are going to look at a real increase in those values.
Because now the GMO farmers are going to want that same acreage that the vineyards have already got their eye on and already developing and out in front of. So they're going to be supply and demand because there's only so much viable farming.
You're right.
Space tucked between these mountains in our valley.
There's a two-pronged approach coming here to agriculture. You're right. You've got the vineyard
well
world.
established and growing.
And Bob, one of your agents,
Terry Sweet.
Terry was on our show, who was quite a wine expert and was telling us what he thought. And some of the, again, land prices here compared to California vineyards, et cetera, are very cheap. We're going to see that happen. So you got the vineyard price pressure coming. Now you've got the GMO-free group of people who want to come here and are going here already starting. I've talked to several people already who are looking at rural properties because they've heard about the GMO-free vote. They want to have organic this or that. They want to do this thing for whatever reason they're doing them. It's out there, and it's going to have an effect on prices of rural property lands, I believe. But it's going to have a great impact on products and create jobs and create an economic future, I think, for agriculture here in our valley. I think
subculture.
I think
that's an economic engine.
The positive outweighs the negative, I think.
And I just got an inquiry today on vineyards from our good friend Jay Tapp.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And he said to say hello, and so I referred him to Terry Sweet because Terry was on our show and was such an expert, not only from California where he came from, the Napa Valley, but he knew Rogue Valley, Douglas County, Willamette Valley, and the Washington hotspots like the back of his hand. So really an expert, and he's going to do well and help people.
I did learn one thing in my ventures yesterday in trying to help a client look at this property, and that is if you are zoned, you have to be EFU zoned. In other words, you have to have an exclusive farm use zone designation to sell wine to the public, to make it and sell it to the public. Okay? So I've got a fella here who's got a property that is zoned woodland resource. And there's organic grapes on this property, but they cannot sell them to the public because it is not an EFU zone. I didn't know that. I did not know that. I thought you didn't have to do that. But anyway, there's rules, and everybody says the same thing. And I know
I'm trying to see the logic in that.
There's trying. Well, there's still too many rules on pork. There's just too many rules out there. And that's why so many people leave farms because there's just too many rules.
What was the neat offshoot of that not ability to sell to the public, though, that they were able to find their market?
You have to make juice, or you sell them to somebody else who can then make their own wine.
Yeah.
So think about how this is transforming our valley. I think that the agriculture part, the vineyards, as you say, Larry, the GMO-free vote, is really going to have an impact in the next few years. And I tell people, heck, we've got Amy's Kitchen sitting here that makes organic soup. Doesn't that make more? Wow. Doesn't that make sense to have a thriving organic? I don't know if they can supply that or whatever, but anyway, it's the beginning of something really big. I'm excited about it.
Sabroso has been here for years, processing fruits and making pastes that are sold to different manufacturers of different food products. But you know what we're going to continue to see is the rural properties are going to continue to go up in value. The water rights. Water rights are going to become more and more valuable.
Yep.
And that's what you're going to see. You're going to see the vineyards are going to try to purchase from the properties upriver. They're going to try and purchase those water rights so then they can increase the amount of grapes that they can develop and harvest and that's what we're going to continue to see.
So if you ever need anybody to list your property when the time comes.
Larry lives at the upper. You live at the upper Applegate, right?
No, I live very close to the Applegate store.
Applegate store,
right on Highway 238.
Do you have water rights up there?
Yes, I do.
So you could sell those water rights to somebody else if you choose to do that.
Yes, downriver.
How do you? It seems to me that the vineyard industry itself is pretty water efficient in terms of their irrigation. I mean, they drip irrigate. They don't sprinkle like the orchards do and things like that.
You're right.
So they actually can. A small amount of water can go a long way, but you got to have the water right to do that.
That is,
and that's the key, right?
That is absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, you're getting the vineyards. They're going out. They're purchasing water rights from people upriver, and then they're utilizing the new systems. They're pumping the water. They're not flood irrigating,
right?
Okay?
They're not.
That's a horrible use of water.
And haven't we learned that from the Jackson Water Conservation District? Well, Steve Mason, who is the director of the WISE project, the Water for, I never get that, the Big WISE project, the water project here. He's going to come with us in July, be on our show again. He was on a year ago. I can't wait to hear. Isn't it going to be interesting to hear the debate going on about water storage, especially in the situation that we're in, and what that project can do to enhance the vineyards,
hundreds of thousands of acre feet,
and the whole thing there.
Savings potentially.
And you can use that water to expand and do more. I think that's the key to it, and so our future may be tied to that WISE project, Joe, more than we ever thought a year ago.
State Water Master has been trying for years to get farms to improve the distribution of their water
and they
rights.
are doing that.
And the
We're seeing that here.
JSWCD is a huge cog in that wheel to help landowners learn and be more resourceful.
There's a lot going on with that. Anyway, it's pretty interesting stuff.
Our future rides on it.
Well, in land prices, enhancing values of property, all that goes hand in hand with this. So you got to pay attention because things are changing. The Real Estate Show continues right after this. The Real Estate Show continues here on KMED this weekend. Pete Belcastro and Joe Brett, the real estate guys, with you. And thanks for being with us this weekend. Summer lies ahead. Big weekend. The Beer Fest going on. Graduation at SOU. A lot of people in the Valley, that's for sure. And that helps restaurants. That helps. That helps everything, doesn't it, Larry?
Medford Cruise, pal.
And that's coming. Is that this weekend?
That's this
too?
weekend.
That's this weekend too. Everything is this weekend. Look
Happy Father's Day.
And it's Father's Day as well. Happy Father's Day. Absolutely out there. Isn't that cool? I love those kind of things. And Flag Day. Also, Saturday, Flag Day. Anyways, we're with Larry Frank, the principal broker at REMAX Ideal Brokers, with the REMAX Market Watch Update show for you on the real estate conditions in Jackson and Josephine County. We've hit it all. We're talking about new construction, and
that's right.
That is robust. And you guys just absolutely saying it's not just the big $400,000 high-end homes, but there's a lot of $200,000, $225,000 new construction that's out there. Northwest Medford's a hot place, you say.
That's
Southwest Medford, White City still. So there's some of that going on. I see new construction going on still in Ashland a little bit, and some of those. There's still a few vacant lots left in that town, and theirs are being built on and things like that. So we're seeing that. Rural properties are continuing to sell well. We talked about GMO free, the wine industry, how that's going to affect land prices here. We think they're going to go up. I agree with you, Larry. They are.
Pete, we got to look around and we got to look at this valley, and we have to say to ourselves, why would someone want to move here? Why are we having this growth coming back in our valley? Because it is just an incredible place to live. Where can you duplicate the quality of lifestyle that you can have here anywhere else for the amount of money it costs to live?
I agree with that.
You can't go to Southern California. You can't go to Northern California, even Portland Metropolitan, Seattle. I mean, walk outside and look up at the weather. This is just a beautiful place to live. As more and more people retire and become aware of what this valley has to offer, we're going to continue to see growth.
And as they come, they tax the resources that we have, and we have to address those issues in our communities. Where are we growing as we do with our urban reserves and urban growth boundaries? That's why all this is in place in our state, to have some sort of a plan of how you're going to grow. And I know people, rural people, who complain still, measure this and that. They can't do this, and you can't divide that off. And I don't know the answer to those questions, but they're still out there, and that hasn't been resolved, and yet our state continues to move. And so some people say, if I can't do this, I'm going to sell it and go someplace else, then somebody else can deal with that particular issue there.
If you go back to Senate Bill 100 in the 70s, if you go to some of the land use restrictions that we've placed upon ourselves, we have this new smart growth concept, which means that we want to grow up, not out.
Right.
Well, I remember when growing out and living out in the country was the American dream. So, we have a diverse base of people that live here, and we need to be able to provide the needs for all the people that want to live here. And just because you want to live out in the country does not mean that you're taxing somebody else's rights in the city.
No, absolutely, and we're seeing that. You're correct on that. Well, we'll see what happens with it. It's going to be interesting. We're almost out of time here. If you look on all the statistics and the market itself, again, Larry, as you see them coming through your office at REMAX, you got a lot of sales going on, and they're in that range. That range is going fast, in that, what you said, 150 to 275. What's the range that's really that's being sold mostly?
We have a robust market right now. I mean, but this is the time of year. This is the beginning of our real estate season, and so if we have a home that is in the 150 to 275 price range. If it's accessible, people can get in and look at it. If it's priced according to what the market will bear, and it is showable so that when people come in, they're not offended by it, you're going to sell your property. We've got a great market right now.
And certainly the median price has increased over time here. We're seeing that. Are you seeing, the thing that I'm concerned about here is that sellers are back to 2005 levels in terms of pricing, that they're going really high on some things. We're seeing a lot of price reductions on the MLS. I mean, 60, 70 a day. So are you concerned about that people are saying I can get way more, I'm just going to be crazy?
Great point. Absolutely. This is not 2005, and you got to look what brought about 2009 was because of the overpriced properties, and they were selling, and lenders were lending on them, appraisers were appraising them, and that's what really brought about the downfall here. I mean, we overvalued the properties, and when it caught up with us, it hurt a lot of people.
Yeah. And we
cannot do that. We cannot grow that fast. We cannot allow properties or property owners to think that they can go to 2005 prices right now, because it's not there.
I'm seeing that, though. I'm seeing some amazingly high prices. And if you don't, if it's priced right, it sells. And
That's
I think
right.
Because price sells. Location's good and all those other things, but price is what sells a lot. And I'm concerned about that some sellers are getting a little bit crazy, thinking that it's more than what it is.
Some sellers look at it as how much they need versus what the property is worth.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. And it takes time for some sellers to learn the difference between what they want, what they need versus what the market will bear.
But you're right. It's robust is the word to use.
I like
robust.
that word.
I like that word as well. We also, but before we get out of here, give us an update on our good friend Bob Gervais, the owner of REMAX and our good friend and head of Southern Oregon's Got Talent, et cetera, et cetera. How's Bob doing?
Mr. Entrepreneur. He's doing fabulous.
He had surgery, by the way. I mean, people don't know that. He had
Bob went under a 5-way open heart surgery bypass, and he is recovering at home. He stopped into the office a couple of times. It's only been about 2.5 to 3 weeks, but he's up and about. He's got color. He's getting his energy back. And, we're not in a rush to hurry him because we want him to heal correctly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I want everybody to know he is doing fabulous. And Bob is on the mend, and he'll be back shortly with his little notepad and ideas to get done.
And we're going to sit him right back where you're sitting right there when he gets here. And we have some sad news also in our real estate world.
A local lady that has just been an incredible source. She served on the Medford City Council. She served on the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. Ms. Karen Blair recently passed away. Please extend our hearts and prayers to her and her family.
All right. Thanks, Larry. That'll do it for the Real Estate Show this weekend here on KMED. Thanks for being with us. I'm Pete Belcastro for Joe Brett. Don't forget to check us out. You can check us out at realestateshoworegon.com or on youtube.com/realestateshow. We'll be back next weekend here on KMED. Hope you'll join us then. Have a great week, everybody, and God bless.
Thank you for listening to the original Real Estate Show with Pete Belcastro and Joe Brett, the Real Estate Guys. For advice, guidance, or counsel on any of our topics, or to watch a replay of today's show, visit our website at realestateshoworegon.com. This show is sponsored by REMAX Ideal Brokers of Southern Oregon, Ticor Title, All Cities Property Management, and the Jackson Soil and Water Conservation District. We'll continue our weekly quest to enhance the value of your property and to make you a smart real estate consumer when we gather every Saturday and Sunday on KMED for the one and only original real estate show.